Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regalytics. Welcome to this week's Regulatory Roundup, hosted at home with a sick kid again. But I guess it's a good excuse to spend some time by the tree. So we'll be short and sweet today. The regulator of the week is the FTC. It's the most wonderful time of the year when the regulators slip in major stuff at the 11th hour when you're totally overloaded and can't deal. For example, the FTC is amending its privacy rule to revise the rule's scope, modify its definition of financial institution and federal functional regulator, and to update the rule's annual consumer privacy notice requirement. The FTC is also issuing a final rule to amend the standards for safeguarding customer information. The final rule contains 5 main points of guidance for information security programs, and this includes things like access controls, authentication, encryption, carve-outs for institutions collecting less information than others, and then terms for finders of this kind of data. So if you are a data broker selling data privacy information, you really might want to take a look at these rules. Finally, the FTC banned a group of phantom debt collectors from the debt collection industry. They have been erased. They are required to surrender the contents of numerous bank accounts and investment accounts. They're banned from buying or selling debt and from making misrepresentations to consumers about any goods or services, including claiming they're lawyers. They're also supposed to pay $12 million, which has been partially suspended due to their inability to pay. The topic of the week is scams. Some good, some bad. Example, in my opinion, of a bad scam alert is the North American Securities Administrators Association putting out an investor warning on decentralized finance, or DeFi. So, of course, now every state securities regulator is putting out the exact same investor warning on their site, which at a glance makes it look like DeFi is bad, but the regulators' hearts are in the right place. There are a shocking number of bad actors that are exploiting buzzwords like DeFi to make a quick buck. In a different vein, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority has been working on financial inclusion with the issuance of practical guidance on barrier-free banking services, but they're balancing it with protection of the vulnerable, including guideline on banking services for persons with intellectual disabilities. Well, this week, the chief executive of the HKMA wrote a letter to the industry about banking services for persons with dementia. And finally, a different type of scam, more of the accidental too big to fail type, but Archegos Capital is back on the discussion board. The Fed has done some investigating into the default that led to over $10 billion in losses for large banks and decided to put out a reminder to all large banks about their risk management practices, specifically counterparty credit risk and margin practices. It's been a while since we've talked about police reform, but Pennsylvania was one of the first states to create a commission to review law enforcement practices. The PA State Law Enforcement Citizen Advisory Commission last week approved recommendations related to police-involved shootings or other uses of force and bias-based policing. So now we will watch them go about the business of passing those laws. And our last alert is a feel-good alert about 4 tiny birds that are critically endangered that were rescued from a thick Hawaiian rainforest. Hooray!
That's it for Regalytics. See you next week. I'm linking in YouTube.